Stone Cold Prose, building better words.
When people find out I used to work in video games, the first question they ask after saying cool is, what's it really like? Well, the answer is not what you think. Whatever you think. Hi guys, welcome back to Stone Cold Prose, where we build better words, better thoughts, and better men. I'm Miles Watson, novelist and author of numerous award-winning series, including Cage Life, Sinner's Cross, and The Chronicles of Magnus. I worked in Hollywood for 12 years, law enforcement for another 10, and now I break it all down and build it back better. So let's get into this. I worked in gaming for 9 of the 12 years I was in LA, exclusively in the making of video game trailers, like teaser trailers and reveal trailers and stuff. Exclusively, by the way, in the capacity of a game capture technician, or stickman as it's known. A game capture technician, aka stickman, is not to be confused with motion capture technician. What we do as stickmen is to play video games, usually but not always multiplayer video games, 2-direction. In other words, we're virtual actors taking orders from a director on a virtual set, following a shot list composed by the director and producers and approved or disapproved of by the studio suits. If you've seen a video game trailer honestly made between 2011 and 2020, you undoubtedly saw me getting shot, stabbed, blown up, set on fire, run over by cars, falling out of airplanes, falling off cliffs, whatever. My point is that stickmen, as opposed to the motion capture guys, are sitting in chairs playing video games and not running around a soundstage wearing a green suit with golf balls on it. And while some stickmen are pro gamers, what's required for the job is not actual skill at gaming or competitive gaming, but being able to do precisely what you're told with your character over and over again without going insane until the director is satisfied we've gotten the shot. A lot of really great gamers fail as stickmen, actually, because they show up thinking they're going to be free playing all day and all night, and they can't hack it and end up getting fired. Sometimes we do free play between takes, and sometimes just so the director can see us work and get ideas for spectacular stunts or kills. But the fact is, when you're on the sticks, for the most part, the primary requirements for the job are obedience and patience, not skill at the game. When I started in 2011, I was only familiar with PlayStation controllers and couldn't adapt to the Xbox controller right away. So the director on that gig had me pretty much stand still and get blown up for weeks. That didn't take skill, just a sense of humor. And believe me, it was my sense of humor and not my skill on the sticks that kept me working for the next 9 years. Facts. Now, I can a tale unfold about the pros and cons of being a stickman for a Hollywood trailer house. As I said, I did it for 9 years at 7 different trailer houses. I worked on all the biggest titles and have many, many stories to tell, good, bad, ugly, and ridiculous. But in this video, I'm going to limit myself to a particular experience that happened in 2016. I got a call from a trailer house on the Sunset Strip about a gig for a big ticket video game. I'd worked for them before on low priority 8 and skate projects that ran a normal Monday, Friday week, so I was expecting more of the same. Well, I expected wrong. This project turned into what we call a siege. A siege is when a project goes high intensity, meaning your typical workday runs anywhere up to 16 hours, and your work week doesn't stop on Friday evening. Oh no. It goes to Saturday and Sunday and then Monday and then however many more days they want your ass in that seat, stuffing handfuls of dry cereal into your mouth between takes and washing them down with ice cold espresso while you question each and every one of the life choices that led you to this moment. The following is composed of quotes taken directly from my journal during the month of August 2016. I have removed all details which would infringe on any old non-disclosure agreements, redacted the names of individuals, and deleted a few of my more horrible comments. Everything else is as it was written. The first 5 days passed more or less normally, being, of course, a normal work week despite the long hours. So we pick up the narrative on day 6. Day 6. Working on Saturdays has a slightly surreal feel to it. The knowledge of obligation is there, but not the psychological weight that makes an ordinary workday so oppressive. Now, this is very philosophical. I might also add in retrospect that parking is easier, and the bitch secretary who treated the freelancers like shit at this gig was nowhere to be seen on Saturday. Day 8, my birthday. 44 wheels around the sun. Isn't that what I always say this time of year? Yet today I can't say as I feel anything at all. When you wake up early, exercise, and then work all day, every day, one more day of it doesn't feel like anything out of the ordinary. And it wasn't. Kind of depressing. Day 9, 10 hours in the tin pan, and a very dull and exhausting 10 hours at that. I slept poorly because of the birthday drinks. Struggled out of bed a little after 7, and somehow managed to get to the pool by 10 of 8. A gruff-voiced lesbian coach, like a bad stereotype out of an episode of The Simpsons, was giving instruction to 5 lanes full of students, and none too happy to see me. But I still managed to get 26 minutes of very hard swimming in before I had to leave. I felt tired the moment I walked in, and as the day wore on, bored, fat, flatulent, and fed up. When I say fed up, I don't mean disgruntled or angry or ungrateful or even irritable. Just physically sick of sitting and playing monotonous games in front of a camera all goddamn day. I forgot my phone too, and my ass was asleep half the day, or so it seemed. Day 10. When is this going to stop? That was all my tired, bored, numb brain could think at some point around the 10th or 11th hour of work today. How much is enough? When do we get to go home? All my earnest and heartfelt prayers to give me work, damn it, have been answered with such resounding force that I can barely lift my face to the storm, so to speak. Kind of melodramatic. This is another way of saying I was 14 hours in the tin pan and have the numb ass to prove it. The tin pan's from a Who song, by the way. Day 15. The repetition began to get to me. That and the pathetic choices they have made for who they bring in to do the game capture. This project is so big. There aren't enough professional stickmen around, so they are using a temp service to provide warm bodies. There are 20-odd people working here as techs, and among the choices they've made is a guy so fat that he needs a cane to get around, a bearded little man I am convinced lives on a mattress beneath the 101 overpass, and a gangsta type who might be Rick Ross's little cousin. Day 18. Life has become a monotonous blur, a sort of Groundhog Day in which any detail which variates on the theme becomes outstanding simply by virtue of being different. And never mind if it is intrinsically interesting. I think I was going insane by this part. Listen to that. Day 19. What a lousy day. Not lousy for me personally, just a shamefully lousy performance by a crew of bumbling fuck-ups my employer has hired to serve as foot soldiers for this interminable project. I swam for a good solid half hour this morning, trying to concentrate on my surroundings. The blue skies, the palm trees, the cool, clean feeling of the water, even the sound of my own labored breathing as I paddled along laboriously behind my kickboard. After the swim, I ate a quick meal in the kitchen and sank into the first available chair. Unfortunately, this chair was next to E, a fat, long-haired, drawling-voiced idiot who loves the sound of his own voice, sounds familiar, and rakes my nerves raw every time he speaks. I was made further uncomfortable by M, who hates E even more than I do and seemed to be on the verge of beating him senseless. So at the first opportunity, I slunk away so I wouldn't have to witness an assault or participate in it. The day passed very quietly until about dinner time. Unfortunately, it took us 2.5 hours to get the shot afterwards because the cretinous, submoronic lackwits hired by casting cannot take direction. The director, who is normally very polite and even-tempered, was growing more and more frustrated, and I think embarrassed by his inability to get any of them to do what they were told. My temper was sorely tried, and I'm not even directing the fucking scene. T shares my low opinion of these poltroons, and supposedly they will not be returning after the weekend, which, of course, I am now scheduled to work. At this point, I have recovered from the near breakdown I had on the 16th. My emotional needle has ascended from the pits of despair to a sort of hardened plateau where I feel neither lows nor highs. I know that my next check, which I will get just before the end of the month, will be a hefty one, but I'm also too flattened mentally to appreciate it just now. When all the smoke clears and all the dust is settled, I know I will be supremely grateful for the opportunity to make 20% of my normal yearly income in the span of 3 weeks, but for now I am incapable of anything except putting one foot in front of the other. I'm getting desperate. Day 20. Christ and Christ and Christ. Not sure I can take much more of this, and yet I must. It's not the work, which is easy in itself. It's the bloody goddamn grind, the sameness, the monotony, the Mobius loop. I wake up, I piss, I feed Spike, that was my cat. I let Spike outside. I cook and eat breakfast. I pack. I bring Spike inside. I turn on classical KUSC and double-check the locks. I drive to Park La Brea by way of Avon Street and Burbank Boulevard and Hollywood Way and Olive Street and Barham and Cahuenga West and Mulholland Drive and the Outpost Road and Franklin and La Brea all the way to 6th Street and then to the entrance of Park La Brea. The fat security guard hands me another pass and I park. I get 2 towels and a locker and change and shower. I swim with one eye on the clock. A lap of freestyle, a lap of breaststroke, a lap of kickboard, repeat. Chlorine stings my eyes. I try to appreciate where I am and what I am doing. The last minute strikes, 10:30, anti-meridian. Out of the pool, into the shower again, into my clothes, hair fixed, to the car, down 6th Street, up Fairfax to Sunset to the studio garage, into the studio, the bathroom, then the cap room, then the kitchen, and then it begins. Make the coffee, eat the pear, drink the water, sit down in the chair, choreograph, rehearsed, game crashes, shoot, game crashes, rehearse, shoot, repeat, repeat, repeat. Same faces, same smells, same routine, same conversations, same fantasies and daydreams and distractions. All the same, right down to the frustrations with the laptop, new, and the internet, slow. I couldn't wait to get the hell out of there. Tomorrow is Sunday, and another day in the tin pan. Forever in the bloody tin pan. I can't stand it for much longer. My nerves, the nerds, are on my nerves 10 times 10. It takes so much restraint not to get ugly, but somehow I have to hold on and endure the prosaic dullness of it all. I'm really losing my shit at this point. Day 21. Something joyous happened today at work. Something quite wonderful enough to mitigate the harassed morning I had and the nausea I suffered in the evening as a result of some bad food I ate for lunch. E, the mouth, got fired. I haven't written much about him here. Indeed, I haven't had time to write much about anything in here. E was the fattish, pale, dead-eyed, long-haired jackanapes whose droning, whining voice resounded all over the set, low, these last 5 or 10 days, and who raked my nerves interminably during that time, and not just mine. Evidently his bullshit accumulated to the point where even the long-suffering production staff had had enough. When M told me this, I was dazed with joy. Because, goddammit, I really was dreading being around him for another 5 days, worried I'd snap and say something that would get me canned. The fucker is just intolerable, and now I don't have to tolerate him anymore. It's remarkable how little things like this, the surgical removal of assholes, to use some rather unpleasant imagery, happens in life. Normally, the single spoiled apple spoils the bunch, and keeps spoiling it, but not this time. Man, I was in a dark place. Day 22, 13 hours in the tin pan. What can one say about it? In spite of everything, every trick and device I could muster to pass the time at hand, I reached levels of boredom that tested the mettle of my soul. It was just a 7-course serving of the same old shit. Ernst Jünger said that boredom was pain diffused over time, and he was correct. It is painful to be bored for the course of a whole day, miserably, interminably bored, and on top of bored, frustrated. Day 26. The last few hours were very dull, with tempers getting short and voices getting loud, and I've been informed that they want me to work the weekend and be on standby Monday as well. Will it never end? Day 29, morning. Today ought to be the last real day of shooting, so they tell us. I know, we've heard this song before, right? Think I know the sheet music at this point. Day 29, night. I've seldom been so vocally disgruntled in my life around people whose opinion of me has a direct bearing on my economic future. But when I get in that mood, there is no shutting me off. I ended up sneaking out and drinking whiskey with D in the parking lot of the Directors Guild of America sometime around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. We talked about life and his time working in the oil fields of Oklahoma, anything but about how shitty this assignment is. Then we went back inside, considerably happier than when we left. Day 30. We wrapped tonight at 10:48 p.m., bringing the siege, the longest in my experience, to its climactic end. I fled the building, said goodbye to the crew, drove to the bank and deposited a fat check in my account, and then came home to a disgruntled cat. No parades, no speeches, no ticker tape, just a sink full of dirty dishes, a hamper full of dirty laundry, and silence. Sometime later, I added this. I have worked some gnarly production gigs in my day, but this was the gnarliest, at least in terms of the sheer endurance required. And yes, I am using gnarly in a sentence. The Valley Girl slang never died in LA. I, on the other hand, probably will if I ever have to do this shit again. Which, of course, I did. But that, friends and neighbors, is a story for another time. Guys, if you enjoyed today's video, please remember to like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell, and remember to check out my books on Amazon. The link is in the description. I drop scripted content every Friday at 3 p.m., shorts every single day, and unscripted rambles whenever rage moves me to do so. See you next time, and until then, stay cold and out of video games.